So let me take you to the another develop project charter, the first knowledge area. I'll repeat it for Kunalji as well so that he'll understand. Develop project charter, as we just discussed, we normally discuss this knowledge area uh, in a standardized process of input, tools and techniques and outputs. Again, I'll repeat, these are all images from PM book. And I have shared the link. I'll share the PM book link again. Even I'll create a text file on the shared drive where you can have these links stored there as well. Okay, so don't worry on that part. So let's try to understand the input, the business document, the business case and business management, benefits management plan. So business case is basically the project overview. The SRS, the executive summary of the project, solution or services we are going to create for a given client. Then benefit management plan. This talks about the return on investment, the cost lines, cost parameter of a given project, solution or services, the statement of work, or what needs to be done at what cost, and those kind of relevant documents which are included in the project charter. Then there are various agreement other than these two, we include those things as well. Then enterprise environmental factors. As we have discussed, I'll repeat for Kunalji and for everybody else as well. Enterprise environmental factors are all the factors who are affecting your organization externally. Let's try to understand a couple of examples. One of them is COVID. So when COVID struck up during the March of 2019 or 2020, I forgot, 2020, I believe, right? When does COVID struck us? When does COVID actually started?
2020.
Yeah, 2020, yeah.
Yeah, okay, pardon me for that. So when the COVID stuck up, the project management have given, the top management have guided the project managers to use the resources remotely, because that's a contagiousness, the state legality change, the federal legality change and everything. So we started working remotely. Now, this is a kind of enterprise environmental factor, or normally referred as EEF, have affected our project, and the project efficiency gone down, because we have to understand how to work remotely. We have to start using some different tool set. We have to understand from each and every via this Zoom Meet, Google Meet and something like that, rather than sitting across the table. So for that, we have to put some extra ask to understand how each and every reacts, or what's the work timing of each and every when they are working from home. Now this way we get adjusted to EEFs, and these are the external factor who makes your project work change, or who makes your environmental change. That's why it's called enterprise environmental factor, or rather they affect the complete enterprise. Then there's something called organizational process assets. Now these are all assets we have created, like the quality policies, where all these policies and processes there to help us, or there to help us to get the project executed with maximum efficiency, least possible cost and schedule deviations. So we manage the quality triangle with organizational process assets. Now these are the assets and those are the factors. So factors are normally tend to be negative, assets are normally tend to be positive, but at the end of the day, they both mean one of the internal factors and external factors. If you ask me as on a personal note, we are tracking if everything is going to help or derogate us in terms of project efficiency execution or effective management of project progress. That's why these two factors do pop up on quite a few process area, and we need to consider them to make sure we understand these challenges or these change scenario. Okay, does that make sense to you? Anybody have any questions on these?
No.
Oh, so let's move to the tools and techniques. Expert judgment. As we know, every organizations have a group of people with something called center of excellence, subject matter expert, or some really good experienced people who can help us to build the project plan, the project execution, the project controlling and monitoring much effective way because of their experience in those areas. So these are called as an expert judgment. So whenever we could leverage the expert judgment, these points are mentioned in the tools and techniques of every process group. Not every, but most of the process group, where you might go to this, COA, SME type of group and tell them, hey, CMA or SME, did anybody work on, let's say, biometric or iris scanner implementation? Somebody like Ravindra Pande will raise his hand. Yes, yes, I worked in, in last project, which we have completed, like say 3 months earlier. So I say, oh, could you please guide me on so things, because I'm trying to implement these things. So could you please suggest, if you have used biometric, then which company's biometric? Is it Sony, Philips? If you use iris scanner, which company's iris scanner? How were the cost? Do we have a vendor collaboration as an Infosys with a vendor of iris scanner or biometric or something like that? So those kind of, even tactical decisions are tactical experiences are leveraged from these experts, as we normally call them. And then, of course, the data gathering is a kind of review mechanism mostly, but here they have mentioned, just to make sure a project manager pays full attention on knowledge gathering from the business analyst team as well. So let's try to understand one by one. Data gathering, we have pretty good, ma'am.
So how different is this from the work which the business analyst does? Because as a business analyst, they also do the data gathering with brainstorming, focus groups.
I just told you, like, this is normally a reviewing mechanism.
Okay.
So we review the document retrieved from business analyst team.
Okay.
But they mention it just to make sure all project manager must go through each and every entity with the kind of, what you can say, that magnifying glass in their hand, so that they understood whatever business analysts have mentioned there. So we need to validate all the artifacts shared by business analysts. This way, we keep track of each and every entities they have created, they have mentioned in this document, and they have missed to discuss as well. So we can plan the extra meeting as well. So that's why they have mentioned this brainstorming, focus group, and interview. We also go to the client. In terms of, as a project manager, I might go to a specific stakeholder, a specific member of client team, and ask him, hey, you discuss this with business analyst, but I want to have more details. I have some more additional questions. That is normal, practicability, and we can do that. That's why they've given here brainstorming, focus group, and interview as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
This is kind of additional help they have given to the project manager.
Okay, just for clarifications, if any. Okay.
Yes, very rightly said. So these are a kind of reviewing or a clarification mechanism. Okay. And the third point, interpersonal and team skill. Here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to address all the interpersonal skill as a project manager. As we all know, we might going to start working as a project manager for the first time. So here, these topics make sure we try to proactively understand these skills and get some head or tail out of these skills. In the scenario, how we can implement these tactics, these strategies during the project management work. Okay, so that's why they mentioned these things. When you talk about something like conflict management, as a project manager, we shouldn't start new conflict. You must not start new conflicts. But a conflict management is an integral part or integral trait of a project manager. You try to reduce conflict. If somebody says, I like Joe Biden very much, I hate Trump, and believe me, there are people and resources like that in your project also. Always. So how do you tackle them? Yeah, you're right. But let's do one thing. Let's complete the task at hand, and then we'll talk about Trump and Biden or Mr. Presidents, older and new. Whatever you feel it right. And this is again a personal trait. So the way Ravindra Pande tackles this is different from the way Vandana Madam will tackle this. So again, I need to refresh or sharpen these skills to make sure I effectively manage the project. The facilitation as a leader to get the project executed from end to end, start to finish, I have to facilitate certain things to my team member. This includes the sitting place, the laptops of the world, the internet access of the world, this access, that access, this leave, that leave, the meeting, the conference room, even the project luncheons, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of things to be facilitated within the team by a project manager. And as a leader, I need to start doing these things. I need to start how this facilitation works on the ground. And that's why they've categorically mentioned facilitation as one of the traits required for the project manager. And then the meeting management. Normally, one of the daunting tasks to your project schedule are these meetings. Believe me, means even I have given you example of my first North American meeting. There we started discussing on how the paper roll in our laboratory should be put. Is it like front come out or the back way come out? And we have discussed for almost 2.5 hours on those things. And these things do happen. So as a project manager, I need to facilitate the meeting. I need to the control meeting also. The fourth point, meetings are basically pertaining towards the controlling of a meeting. Even the scrum meet, by discipline, scrum meet normally had a hard stop at 15th minute. 15 minutes is the longest duration of a scrum meet. But believe me, on average, every scrum meet goes beyond that. That's a practical and bad experience. But still, as a project manager, we need to step in and make sure nobody discusses anything like paper rolls or tea, coffee, or whatever point is not relevant to the project execution. Or we can plan an informal meeting in the evening during lunch time or something like early in the mornings next day, as if it's a new. So that's why meeting plan is also one of the most planning and control is one of the most important trait as a project manager. And that's why PMI categorically added this thing from, I think, PM book 8, PM book 4. Now we are studying the PM book 6. PMI also started reviewing the final drafts of PM book 7. But we'll do our complete session on PM book 6. And then we might have some additional session on PM book 7 as well. So don't worry on that part. We will be up on the latest technology track, latest, templatization and latest policies and procedures. So don't worry on that part. Okay, then in outputs, of course, the project charter, the complete process group is for creating a project charter and additionally assumption logs. Why assumption log? Because everything you assume creates a risk. If anybody asks you a question, tell me, how do you identify risk? So your first statement should be every assumption mentioned in the project charter or any other document start creating a risk relevant to that topic. So if I assume everybody will come to my, everybody will come to work today, that's create a risk of schedule creep. Like a resource like Ravindra Pande might fall ill, right? He might get a fever, he might get a cough. To the worst scenario, he might be in the tornado affected area and blah, blah, blah things, right? So there could be a number of reasons why this can happen. So do you have to always, tackle this risk? Yes and no. Yes, because we normally include these things in our risk register. Risk register is a kind of list where I mention risk. There's a specific knowledge area called project risk management where we understand these risk management in there. Risks are basically notified in risk register. They are being reviewed as a risk register instant for that day, or the risk reviewing meeting where we normally review all the risks which are mentioned by us. And most of these risks are normally derived from the assumption log. That's why assumption log is a very, very crucial factor. Never miss assumption log as a project manager. You keep updating these assumption logs by every hour, if not by every day, in your project management execution. And that's why assumptions are really crucial for each and every of these knowledge area. Does anybody have any questions on project develop project charter, process group?
No.
Okay, let's take a step further. Let me ask a special, specific question to Kunalji. Kunalji, are we good? Could you understand what I'm trying to say here, sir?
So try to grab the thing as soon as much as I can get.
Okay, sir, could you please tell us about your background? Whatever you've done means, what was your experience earlier, so that I can relate it better.
So, sir, I'm right now in Canada. 4 years ago, I came here. Right now, I work with a, financial organization.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, and then back in India, I was used to work with the HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank in retail sales, banking, same savings account, CASA, mortgages, and all that stuff. So I was
Wow.
handling a team of almost 50, 60 employees. I was a associate vice president at both the banks.
Great, great, great.
Yeah,
So
so
you
I was
have managed this in a way.
what you said, sir?
You have a management experience in a way. You are managing a team of 50, 60.
Oh yeah, almost more than 11 years of team management.
Wow, wow, wow. Then you know all this nitty gritty. Only we need to run the relevant tool and relevant
Yes,
labels to processes.
yes.
So I can clearly understand. So no problem there. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Don't worry about you are stopping me and everything. Just ask
Sure,
the
sir.
question if you have any challenge, sir.
Sure,
Okay.
sir. Sure.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for your this thing. Sure. Let's move on. So here, yeah. So let me move to the next slide. Oh, come on. Yes. Need for a project charter. We had a look at these things. We also had a video how to write a project charter. There we understand it's most of the time it's a copy of the SRS, or we basically include SRS as a project management charter in quite a few organizations. SRS is basically the system requirement specification, the system requirement document, the business requirement document, or business requirement specification. These documents labeled in so many ways. Only we include SOWs or the contract or agreements we sign between these two organizations additionally to the project charter to make sure we have the project charter at our disposal. Then develop project management plan. As we already discussed this, I'll go over quickly. The inputs again the project charter, the outputs from other process. Now develop project charter or develop project management plan comes in a planning process group. So here I'm starting my planning. So planning process group, as I told you, runs parallel to our project execution. So there are like if my project is from January to June, and in between I'm at a month of May, right? First week of May. So there I have completed quite a few things. So here what this input means is basically outputs from other processes, output from other 9 knowledge area are also considered to update the project management plan. So I might get change, I might updated my policies and procedures to make sure I adopt the best possible efficient practices whenever I basically try to update my project management plan. The process name is develop project management plan because first time we develop it and then we keep updating it for every project review. And believe me, with every project review meeting, normally we have on a weekly basis, but there are organizations who have project review meeting on every 4th day or something like that also. There are organizations who have project review meeting on every month also. So depending upon the local policies and procedures, we have this frequently change and we do update this project management plan accordingly. So project review meetings are the basic, uh, time when we update this project management plan. But other than that, even a project manager can update the project management plan if he find out a risk or a new assumptions for him or her. He might update the project management plan out of the necessity. And this is also part and parcel of the whole project management daily review or taking a stock, even if within the scrum meet or daily status collection from all the resources at the end of the day as well. Now, as we all discussed, this also includes the enterprise environmental factor and organizational process states. If these are making our project plan, any update, any changes, any schedule-based changes, any resource-based changes, or any cost-based changes applicable or inserted in a project management plan, and that can be a possibility as well. Now, more or less, the tools and techniques same as the what I can say, same as the develop project charter, because project management plan is a kind of extension to the charter. Charter is basically an initial document to make sure the project manager has full authorization and authority to conduct the project. I'll repeat, the project charter gives authority and authorization for a project manager to lead a project. And project management plan is basically his or her own creation to make sure you apply those processes formally. That's the difference between the project charter and project management plan. The additional thing here is a checklist. The checklist is like the pilot, runs the checklist when he starts the plane. Do we all know how does pilot starts the plane check? Plane is a kind of vehicle, right? Or even we check our car whenever we start early in the morning. That's our normal process. We don't have a checklist for that. But if you look at something like plane, which is a bit of complicated machinery we're going to use, so there's a checklist of around 360 odd items to check, and that's the standard average I'm telling you about. So if a pilot, so let's say start a 747, he had around 360 item Excel sheet to check out if it's working, not working, the level of fuel, the weight of a plane, the tire pressures, their internal temperature, the external temperature, and so on and so forth. So he has a checklist of around 360 items approximately. Similarly, project manager builds a checklist on his or her own to make sure whenever he start a project on a given day, he normally makes sure are all resources present, are we on the task as far as my yesterday's task. Now these checklists have been replaced with the Scrum Meet. So in the Scrum Meet, I check all the backlogs, the activity completed yesterday, the activity planned for today, the activity to be completed today, to be planned, to be started today and getting completed tomorrow or after tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So I update my task list or task progress list, to be precise, allocated to each and every resource. And that's how I normally have this checklist in line with whatever we need to take a stock of a project control at a given time. Then the output is, of course, project management plan, any and all updates. So whatever updates you're doing to the project management plan, we applied over here. Does that make sense to you? Anybody have any questions at this moment for me?
No.
No, all
Okay.
good.
All these recordings are released to YouTube. So please have a look at those recordings. I'll update the Excel sheet today so that you can have the look at the Google Drive's Excel sheet as well. Just to give you a heads up, Kunalji, we have a shared folder at sorry at GuruSchools storage, where we have an Excel sheet maintained where we have all the previous recordings, including the links to the YouTube recordings we have released. So you can, I'll share that with you, and I'll add your email address there also, so you can have a look at those, previous recording as well. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Let's take a step further. The next is direct and manage project work. Now, this is a process group in, oh, come on, in, executing process group. So this is actual executions, what is happened. So this is the actual task we're going to complete. These are the actual tasks we're going to basically take step by step. And that's why we have the executing process group called direct and manage project work. Let's have a look at it. Direct and manage project work. Yeah. So here we have project management plan, any and all components. So the project management plan is to be followed in direct and manage project work. As the name suggests, this process group typically makes sure I manage the project work. I direct means I give instruction, and I manage the project work. I manage the project work to keep it on track. keep it on, on the mark. So it shouldn't get delayed. It shouldn't get, into the, what you can say, delayed delivery kind of scenarios. So that's why this is one of the most crucial process group we handle as a project manager. The project document. The project documents are change log. As we discussed, change log, as we work in an agile, flexible environment, there are changes suggested from a client on almost every day. Now, how do we manage change as a project manager? I channel the changes to something called change management processes. Here, I have a body called Change Control Board, CCB. So if any of the client executive, even including product owner, ask me to add something to the project, I'll request them to channel this thing to the Change Control Board. And Change Control Board have a good analysis team where they analyze this change for schedule, cost, and the other variances, so that if we include those changes in our current sprint, the next sprint or next to next sprint, how it's possible to get them created, executed, built, depending upon the change control thought process or the business analyst, the way they plan it for us. So after that, then I'll include in the relevant sprint as guided by the change control board. Now, change control board is a kind of single member or multi-member team, and these are constituted of a very senior managers who are might be from a CME, COE, COE or SME block as well. So they guide us to adopt or reject any changes. Yes, rejection is also one of their perks or one of their authority to reject any change suggested by the client as well. Because of there are various type of revenue models we use for a given project. There are project called fixed price. So what they'll do, they'll give you, let's say I give you 10 million if you complete this enhancing attendance management solution within next 6 months. So that's a kind of fixed project. Or they'll tell you, have 6 resources on this project for the 6 months, and I'll pay you so and so amount, or hourly basis, let's say $50 per hour, $80 per hour, $120 per hour, and depending on the various skill set and experience level of the resources, as well as the brand value of an organization or a brand value of a technical partner as well. So here what we are trying to do, this is called time and material. So the more time we spend, the more material we spend, we can charge those similar lines to the client. So this is at actuals. Okay, so there are these two basic category of time and material and FP, and there are many in between, because nowadays we use hybrid project models, right? So even financially, we can have some hybrid project model to make sure the financial cost ratios are appropriately analyzed and tuned to the actual costs. These things do happen. So all these change logs, if they are affecting any of such financial, the change control board have an authority and authorization for rejection, adoption, planning as well. So that's why change logs are very important. Now, change logs are relevant to issue logs also. Issue logs is basically if there is any issue client or stakeholder have reported. Now, this issue can be a change or issue can be an actual defect as well. Okay, and we'll understand how we basically track such thing in the change management as well. So don't worry as of now, just understand what is change and how do we channel this change, right? Let's take a step further. Then the lessons learned register. As we talk about the knowledge archival, this is one of the activity we do whenever we archive knowledge. So we all include the lessons learned in the knowledge archival system with the name, date, author, who initiated, who applied, and all those scenarios in the organizational knowledge management place or knowledge management storage area. Then we have milestone list. We're going to learn how to create milestone list, how milestone lists are formed. But as we know, milestones are basically the task completion, or a goal completion post. So let's say I have a goal to be completed on 12th May 2022. Like Ravindra Pande must complete the installation of biometrics on a Bloomington State Farm office. That's a milestone to be achieved. And I'll track the milestone on almost a daily basis. And that's what the project manager do, if not minute basis. So here, as a project manager, I do manage all these milestones one by one on almost every day, if not every minute. Then we have project communication. All the communication, internal as well as external to the projects, are normally channeled through project manager. And that's why all the auditory facts created by the team, all these auditory facts reviewed by the external team, that's the auditors, we normally keep track of those things. So we normally, as a project manager, have a final authority to plan an audit or to basically reject an audit if there's a time crunch or something like that. So of course, the organization might, ask you to give the reasons for such audit delay or proactive planning audit as well. And of course, as we are the owner of project schedule, the project manager, he or she is basically responsible for maintaining and keeping track of the schedule on almost hourly basis, and even reporting of the schedule to the top management through project management information system, PMIS. Then we have requirement traceability matrix. We have understood this thing in business analyst, but let me revisit this thing. Requirement traceability matrix, or what we call RTF, is one of the most prominent tool we have matured over the ages, like project management plan. What it does, this is normally a table where I have a requirement list traced with the time, date, and the person who have mentioned, person who have discussed, converted to the feature, product or functionality of a product or a solution or services, and then traced to the actual source code or actual product, part of the product or module, and so on and so forth. These also include the test cases who validate the project feature functionalities as well, who test these product features or functionalities, as in trying to check if they exist, they function as per mentioned in the requirement. So all these long table is basically the requirement traceability matrix, which is normally updated or which is normally validated or verified in the process of direct managed project work. So if any project, if anybody haven't updated the RTM correspondingly, I might raise a non-conformance to the resource, because most of the audits, they review this RTM everywhere in every audit. Almost even in risk audit, we do review RTMs, and that's a standard practices. And this is standard to specifically IT, because IT believe in micromanaging the data auditory facts. That's why we normally review RTMs on each and every audit. In some other industry, they don't have so much importance given to RTM, but yes, they do create RTM and they do track RTM religiously. Then risk register. This is also a list of risk which is getting updated as per the new assumption, new risk, new change in scenarios have been observed by the project managers. The risk report. Risk report is basically a report which is generated out of this risk register in terms of understanding the materialized risk, the risk which we are going to materialize in the next week or so. So this way, we have the risk report generated in every risk review meeting. And of course, we have a specific risk management resources called risk manager, help us out to manage or to do this risk audit. The risk manager can be external to your team, so they will just meet you whenever you're going to have a risk audit, or it can be an internal member from your team named as a risk manager. All the organizations have their way of policies and procedures, so they implement as per their convenience. All approved change requests get added to the project plan, so those are needs to be tracked on almost a daily basis. So if you add certain things to the current sprint, you don't disturb day-to-day task. You normally add this new item or approved change request from day after, from tomorrow or the next business day normally. And then we keep tracking them on almost each and every scrum meet. And that's why approved change requests have a specific mention in the direct managed project group, because these are the additions to your project plan. Do you get additional resources every week, every day? No. But whatever works get added to your current sprint, you might raise a request for additional resource also to the resource management team. And that's expected from a project manager, from a best practices of project management. So don't worry on that. Then again, we have enterprise environmental factor and organizational process assets to help us out to align the direct project management plan to make sure we effectively manage direct project work. The tools and techniques, expert judgment, the PMIS and meetings. Expert judgment, as we leverage the risk managers, the overall, any SMEs and COEs of the within the company. That's why they mentioned expert judgment. Then we have PMIS, as we discussed last time. PMIS, Project Management Information System, is a system, if not labeled so, a system which collects data from all the execution across the organization. So it can be number of employees joined today, it can be number of HR employees on leave today, and blah, blah, blah. Every project, how they are performing, they have 16 tasks to complete today. So have they completed 16 tasks? Yes, no, and so on. So also all these details are collected at a PMIS and reported to the top management. PMIS is normally for the top management only. Sometimes PMIS can be shared with the few client stakeholder as well, but that's not normal scenario. Mostly PMIS is used by the top management to understand how the projects are being executed. Are they on track? Red, green, yellow is the normal color given to a project. Red means the project is delayed and need immediate assistance from management, PMOs, and the other bodies within the organization. Yellow means the project is going into the danger. So it might need the help tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or as early as possible. Green means project is doing okay. It's on time or in time. So they have enough space for achieving their quality, whatever they have mentioned. And that's why we normally have this PMIS even color labeled in quite a few organizations. And this is what we call dashboards most of the times. So every dashboard is a PMIS system. Then meetings. For every direct and managed project work, I might need to plan a meeting with a stakeholder, my team member, the external team member like the risk reviewer, the SMEs of the world, and CMEs of the world. So all these meetings are planned by the project manager himself or herself. The outputs, all the deliverables, whatever you created as a result of construction building, even created as a quality runs like the test case run report and everything, are normally mentioned here in the deliverables. The work performance data. Each and every resource efficiency is tracked in terms of activity completion within a given time. And that's how we track each and everybody's efficiency at the end of the day. And that's what this means, work performance data. Now, this is also used to make sure how we can improvise ourselves. So if Ravindra Pande is doing, let's say, 3 tasks per day, could he be encouraged to do 4 tasks per day? Mostly yes. So how we could do it? What will make Ravindra tickle, or what will make Ravindra advance in that direction to do or to put on more efforts and deliver the task more efficiently, more effectively, with more quality? That's what this work performance data tracking and updates in the direct and managed project work process group mentions. The issue log, as I mentioned, any issue, challenges to be reworked, to be have a look at it, are mentioned here as an output in direct and managed project work. Because whenever you have a meeting with stakeholder, they come up with couple of issues to the project management execution also. And that's why they mentioned issue log here. And again, the change request means even the stakeholder or the client might check with you. Hey, I have mentioned to add this thing in your current sprint. Have you added these? Yes, yes, yes. That's planned for day after tomorrow. So I can give the relevant answer as per the questions. And that's why change request, approved, rejected, planned for the next phase. You normally don't deny anything to the client. So you don't say, no, that request has been scrapped. That's not the real, way you normally reply. You say, yeah, that request is yet to be planned because there are so many challenges in collecting data or this or that, and you tell them how physically it's look almost impossible to plan it in a given space of time. So it might be planned for the next phase, but let us work on it. And that's the way to say no diplomatically. Are you telling any lies? No, it's not added to your sprint. That's the fact. But why is not added? You're trying to answer it diplomatically, saying, yes, we are looking into it. There could be some problems. And that's why we haven't added it to the current sprint or current work items completed list as of now. And then there is a project management plan update, any components, including these like deliverables, which also have a milestone attached to them. Work performance data is kind of efficiency of each and every resources, issue logs, change request, whatever has been updated will get reflected in our project management plan or project document updates for that matter. Any added activities or activity that are not any longer needed, so we can remove them. So activity lists get updated, assumption log get updated, lessons learned registers get updated. The requirement documentation also get updated if anybody have some additional change requests posted to us. So that's why they mentioned the requirement documentation. And even the RTM gets updated, the requirement traceability matrix for the relevant development date or a release date for a given artifact. And that's why RTM also get updated. The risk register, of course, because we do the risk report or risk review, so the risk register also get updated. Even if we don't do risk review meeting, there could be new assumptions and new corresponding risk as well. The stakeholder register. As we discussed, every project manager maintains a register of a stakeholder, including his or her contacts, best time to call, the authority and authorization for a given project, so that me as a project managers know the influencing parameter he or she has in terms of our project sanctions, approval, obstacles, removal, and all those things. So that's why as a project manager, I maintain the stakeholder register. It can be private to me and myself, or it can be a project team stakeholder register where each of the project team member knows when to talk to a client, when not to, his pet name, his anniversary, his birthday, in case you want to start calling for on those occasions as well. And then of course we normally update the organizational process assets if we have any better processes than our previous counterparts as in project managers. So we normally add this thing to the organizational knowledge area to make sure everybody gets benefited from this. So that's a kind of review of direct and managed project work. Anybody have any questions on these?
No.
Let's take a step further. We had a look at a video called Direct and Managed Project Work also, as they mentioned the importance of these things. And the last knowledge area I think we've covered in a last session is managed project knowledge. So here, managed project knowledge is basically to do everything with how do you archive the knowledge, how do you archive the best practices in the organizational cloud space for knowledge management area. Let's try to understand this thing in terms of inputs, tools and techniques and output way. Inputs are project management plan, all components. If there are any new things you have adopted, any older things from the other team members, that can get reflected here as well. So project documents, lessons learned register, that's a primary goal of these process group. Resource breakdown structure, where I'm tracking the efficiency of a resource. So all these resource means man, material, machine. If we are doing anything better, I'll mention it a knowledge area. If I'm doing anything bad or not so good, as in the efficiency tracking in comparison with the similar project we might have executed earlier. So then I might need to adopt to the processes which the other project have been using for their processes or execution of the task, activities, work item by themselves. So I'll adopt to them. That's why resource breakdown structure is basically talks about how the resources are helping us to maintain the efficiency or to enhance the efficiency of the project executions. Then we have source selection criteria. Again, it relates to more of how the resources, and specifically in case of raw material here. If you are executing a software, this might relate to the platform you've chosen for a solution. It can be something like Java, .NET, Python, or whatever you've chosen for development. So have to have those source selection criteria validated against the things we are doing right now. So if you are doing an artificial intelligence type of work, you might choose Python because that's the most easiest open system economical platform there to be used. If you choose any other platform, then you might have to basically mention the source selection criteria within your project lessons learned register, so that for such scenario, even the next similar projects will be executed on similar platform, and the reasons mentioned there as such. Then again, stakeholder register. I might review all these scenarios with the expert as well as the stakeholder, because whatever client have been asked, I'm working for him or her, right? So for that matter, whatever source selection I have did, I'll get validated. Whatever resource I have chosen, I might get validated uh, with the client as well. And it's a kind of review we do sometimes, not all the times. But yes, that's why they mention it here. And again, all the deliverables, are they on time, in time, or we are being delayed, and how are the milestones getting captured? In my thought process, we could have included milestone here, but they've just mentioned deliverables. Milestone are basically track points of these deliverables, right? Track point attached with a specific dates. But deliverables is just the result. So here the result counts. That's what they're trying to mention here, or they want to stress here as a results that what counts. But for me or the seasoned project manager like me, we might mention the schedule as well. But again, it depends on a manager's personal artistic nature as well. If you want to improve process, you can improve the process also. And that's why we have these direct and project manage knowledge area, where we normally add all the additional things which we are doing to make sure the project gets executed effectively and efficiently. And of course, we have EEFs and OPAs to help us out to maintain the best possible efficiency, best possible, or lowest possible cost, at lowest possible cost, and best possible quality. The tools and techniques are expert judgment, the knowledge management. Of course, the knowledge management is the prime factor here, where we are creating the knowledge for others to understand as well, or to understand within the team as well. The information management in terms of PMIS. Then again, PMI wants to reiterate some skill set as far as the project management knowledge archival goes. These are active listening. So PMI categorically mentioned here to make sure project manager must actively listen to the team member, to the stakeholders, to the even to the persons who are external to a project, but they are basically providing any service or any interest in your project. So that's why you normally have to listen to them, understand their challenges, understand their concerns, and address them as well. So the facilitation. So here the facilitations means to the team, to the organization, to the stakeholder as well. So this has a bigger gamut of users to be tackled too. Then leadership, provide your leadership skills within your team, within your organizations, and with the client stakeholder as well. Additionally, networking. Now, networking means connecting to the people here. So as a project manager, you should have a good network. What does it mean? It means you should have a right friend at right place. So if a stakeholder who's going to approve your work is completely connected with you, he's kind of informal friend to you, the approval process might be completed within microseconds. But if he or she have a problem with you as a person, this process might take forever. For that, that's why PMI or the best practices among the project management, they make sure PM is a network person. He has friends at a right place, or he creates friends at a right place most of the time. And political awareness, just to resolve conflict in various discussions. See, I'm not going to work closely with Biden. So even if I like Biden or I hate Biden, that shouldn't obstruct my project work on day-to-day basis. That's why I normally have to remove conflicts, even including political conflicts. That's why I should have awareness of a political environment around me. And that's why they've categorically mentioned political awareness here. The outputs. Of course, the lessons learned register. Lessons learned register is normally deployed at a joint cloud space within an organization. So Infosys have one knowledge archival system. Same with TCS, Wipro, and all the other IT giant as well. They have a separate cloud with a specific credential given to each and every employee to make sure they can add their value to the knowledge archival system. Then project management plan update, any component to the project management plan which have changed to be updated. And of course, in case if you have improved any process beyond the need or above and beyond the need, you normally mention it in a organizational process assets as an organizational process assets update. And this is a similar thing to the lessons learned register where it has been notified to the other counterpart as well, so that they can adopt the similar policies and procedures to make sure they'll also leverage their efficiencies working on a project. Any question for me in managed project knowledge area?
No, so far, no.
No, all good.
Okay, so again, this is a kind of review for our last session as well. I'll take a minute to make us understand monitor and control project work, like we did it in the last time as well, I believe. Here the inputs are project management plan, any and all component, the different document project updates, like assumption log, basis of estimates. Oh, let me take a minute. Okay, monitor and control project work is the first knowledge area first process in our monitoring and controlling process group. So this is where I normally monitor and control my project execution. So in project integration management knowledge area, I have two process in monitoring and controlling process group called monitor and control project work and perform integrated change control. Okay, so monitor and control project work basically directs me or basically guides me to monitor and control project work. So here it means that I track the task work item activity given to every resources with the schedule, and I'll make sure they are on time, in time, everywhere, wherever they are allocated with the task. And that's what it all means in terms of monitoring and controlling project work or monitor and control project work. That's how it's labeled. The inputs are project management plan in totality, project documents like assumption log. If I create any new assumption, like Ravindra Pande knows to do that task as well, that's again a risk, right? So assumptions like that, if I've already taken, I will mention there in the assumption log. Then basis of estimate here, like every resource have an efficiency attached to him or her. So if I give a task to Ravindra, if he has a skill set, then he'll do it very effectively. If you have a lesser experience, it might take some time. But if he don't know the task, he might take forever, or there's a learning curve involved also. So learning curve means the time taken by resource to learn similar things, right? So there I need to absorb such timings within my schedule. So if Ravindra Pande don't know how to fit in the biometrics on the doors of the client's attendance management system, I need to make sure Ravindra Pande learns from somebody, a COE expert, and get it done with him first time. Next time he might do it on its own. And that's how this basis of estimates make sure as a project manager, I schedule these tasks proactively with all these learning curves or help needed from the experts as well. The cost forecast. The costs are derived from task resource attached with a schedule. Again, the costs are derived from task, activity, work item with a schedule and attached to a specific resource. That's why cost forecasts are the primary part wherever we do monitor and control project work. So each and every task has a cost attached to it, because whenever you have an activity task with a schedule with the attached resource, there's a cost reflection to it. Let me try to explain you in a simple terms. If you are doing a task, right, like making a tea, now how does the cost get associated with it? Let me tell you. Making a tea on a Sunday is a project I have created. So Sunday, because every project has to have a unique goal, unique perspective, unique work or a result to be obtained in a given time. So that's why I'm saying Sunday making tea is as a specific task. So here, as a specific task, I'm going to need water, tea powder, any additional masalas or things I need to add to the tea, milk, creamer, sugar, water. And every of such tasks now will have a cost tag to it. So resource as in me, schedule as in Sunday, the materials are the tea powder and other materials which are involved with the task. So these three things, I'll repeat again: task, activity, schedule, and a resource. Resource means man, material, machines. These things reflects a cost to us. And that's one of the most important factor we need to learn throughout our project management. So all these forecasts are derived within the monitor and control project work process. Then we have issue log. Like all the additional issues, if I come across any during my monitor and control project work, I'll mention there. Lessons learned register. If I'm doing anything better, good, I'll mention it there. If I'm doing anything not so good, I'll try to adopt the good things from others as well. And I'll mention in the lessons learned register. Milestone list. These milestones are basically a complete markation of a time-based schedule with a specific activity completion. So it's a kind of goals to be achieved on a particular schedule. And that's how I'll mention these milestones, or I'll update these milestones if there are any changes due to assumptions or due to any changed resource scenarios. Then quality reports. These are again most of these PMIS reports or the efficiency reports we normally talk about. So if there are any changes in efficiency, I'll mention it in these quality reports as well. And of course, as the assumption log changes, so the risk register and the risk reports. Now here they have also added a schedule forecast. This is the addition in PM Book 6. Now why they have added schedule forecast? Let me give you a minute to review these things. Schedule forecast are basically, once I know the efficiency of a resource, I'll try to extrapolate it to a given task. So if Ravindra Pande perform only 2 tasks, if I'm, even if I allocated 3 tasks for yesterday, that means he's not, perform as per my expectation. So that means I need to incur extra cost for a given resources, which I have planned earlier, because I need to plan the task with the extra time, right? And time actually reflects the cost. So if the resources works for, let's say, instead of 8, if it takes 12 hours, it's like 50% increase in its cost, and so on and so forth. So all these, scheduled forecast are get aligned with the efficiency parameter of the resource. Does that make sense to you? Anybody have any confusion till this time?
No.
Okay, give me a couple of minutes to review these things, and next time we can start fresh on the next knowledge area, next process group. Then we have work performance information. As I told you, the efficiency tracking, the overall understanding of number of items completed within number of tasks, scheduled for those days, and so on and so forth. Again, if there are any new modified agreement with the client, and why they have mentioned this thing, because whenever you start actual project, there are new agreements. Like I told you, there are now hybrid project revenue models. Like they don't want strictly on fixed price or a time and material type of project execution. They have a hybrid. So sometimes till actual project construction goes, they work on a fixed price, and then when the actual project construction start, the development start, they shift to time and material, because there are some places where you might need to leverage experts, you might need to leverage some external entity to make sure your task is performed with the optimum quality. And this is like specialized work, like if you are developing a bridge on a seawater. So there are some extra consultants who are hired by the client to help us to erect that bridge within the actual live waters, and something like that. Even in software scenario, like we have discussed, if you are implementing something like third-party component, like the biometrics, like the iris scanners of the world, then I might leverage some expert either from the industry or within my organizations or within the client organizations to make sure these implementations are done with the maximum quality and efficiency. That's why they mentioned agreement here, to make sure that the project is aligned for the maximum efficiency within both the teams, the client team and the technical partner teams. Then, of course, the enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets are there to help us out. As we mentioned in tools and techniques, there are expert judgments to be leveraged. Data analysis in terms of alternative options for a given execution or construction or building are normally analyzed. Then we choose a cost benefit ratio for a given activity to be implemented, adopted for a given task, task, activity or work item. The earn value analysis. We're going to learn earn value analysis in our next session. Earn value analysis is a PMI specific way to tackle how much the cost I have incurred at a given point. Means how much money I have spent on this project execution at a given point. And there are some specific formulas we're going to learn on earn value analysis. So I'll park this question for the next session. Then root cause analysis. I think everybody have done root cause analysis in their, actual corporate America work culture. Root cause analysis basically to analyze the root cause of a given problem or issue. So let's try to understand from an example. Let's say you have a challenge of a biometric, that's a fingerprint reader, to read the fingerprint in a cold temperatures. So what you do, you normally go to the root of this problem. So why such thing is happening? So why this thing happening? Because the oil collected from various fingers on a fingerprint sensor getting frozen, and basically that oil is making the fingerprint reader unable to read the fingerprint. So for that, what we need to do, we need to clean with a particular chemical so that the oil residue on the fingerprint scanner have to be removed. Could we do it every time? If not, then we might need to replace the fingerprint sensor, or we need to move the fingerprint sensor to a warmer place. And either of the choice we choose, depending upon the actual analysis of the cost benefit. Then we have a trend analysis. In case if you are doing good, we normally extrapolate the trend and try to understand Are we on time till the end of the project? If not, how could we leverage other resources or external resources also to get the project on the track? So trend analysis is done here to mostly check out if the project is on track for the elongated period of time, or this kind of future predictions we're trying to do. But again, some company does it, some company don't. So this is again a kind of choice of organizational policies and procedures. Variance analysis. Whereas in the sense the cost variance, schedule variance, resource variance, in terms of how these are helping to build efficiency in our project task execution. And that's why variance analysis is normally a crucial factor for each and every project manager to understand in depth. We will have some hands-on experience, hands-on practice on variance analysis as well. So don't worry on that part. Just understand here, any variance to cost, schedule, resources might reflect the project progress or the trend analysis overall. So we keep very minute eye with a magnifying glass to make sure we don't came across any variance on the planned task. Then again, decision making as a separate, trait to a given project managers, as he or she needs to be decisive based on the alternative analysis and cost benefit analysis. We have to take a decision then and there. You can't park a question every time, and that's what this decision analysis relates to. Then of course we might plan some extra meeting. We might need to control the meeting for a given task, for a given intention in terms of even various analysis to be performed. The outputs are work performance report, the efficiency report of a particular resource. Again, the resource means man, material, machine. So if any laptop is not performing as per the expectation, we might need to replace the right laptop or get it repaired. Same with a lathe machine, same with a robotic arm, and so on and so forth. So here, resources means man, material, machine, work performance report. Then change reports. If there are any additions, approval from the change control board, I might add it to the current sprint task list and update the project management plan accordingly. The project management plan, any and all components. The project documents updates are cost forecast. So I do forecast cost, or I build a trend analysis on the basis of current cost spending with the earn value analysis. Issue logs. We have already discussed this, but if any issues within the meeting mentioned by the stakeholder or my team member, I'll add it here and give a raise to respective risks. So I also update the risk register. Then I add the lessons learned register for the all new knowledge I have collected to make sure my project is efficiently tracked, effectively handled. And the schedules forecast. Forecast are for extrapolating the trend which I have right now to make sure my project is on track, on time for a given project execution. Did I miss anything? Have you understood how monitor and control project work process group help us to control project or micromanage the project for each and every task, work item or activities we have planned for a given schedule for a given resource? Anybody have any question for me at this moment?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's stop here. We are already, I think, oh, come on. Sorry. Let's go here. Come on. What I'm doing. We are at 10:30. So let me close today's session. Today was a kind of review session overall. Don't worry. It'll help us out, because if you spend more time in clearing our basics, it'll help us out to basically build some better outputs for the next knowledge area. Okay, if you have any questions, please do share with me, and I'll make sure to answer all them as early as possible. Otherwise, let's wait for the next session. Next session we'll have day after tomorrow. That is on 12th, right? Yeah, 12th of May. Yes, 12th of the May at 9 p.m. EST. Okay, so let's stop here. unless you have any question for me. Do anybody have any question?
No, boss.
No problem. Kunalji, let me get in touch with you and then we'll take it up from there. Okay?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Thanks a lot. You have a good night. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.